reason why, and because of my Irish mum's genetics, I'm not the best sun resistant, so only 10 minutes was enough for me on the way I went. But it was a great day, and the boys today did building inspections as well. So I was out with Tim Freshney and Sarah Robinson out on the road, and that's going to be a great one for people to actually learn a bit more about that division and the intricacies as well.
Which is a great division. It's done very, very well.
Yeah, it's the biggest building inspection company in Australia, which people not just
a few years, and it's been around for decades, and they just beat them just in a few years. And
we've also got the Ego content. So the day on the road stuff we've been promoting with the solar powered trailer. We've just sent it off to Ego to prove that there's nothing they don't want sewn in it. So that's going to go up either tomorrow or on Friday. And that's with the solar powered trailer. It's around a 30-minute clip as well. And it's a great honest assessment for, I think it was Rod Gilpin, who is a franchisee of Stuart Rainbows.
That's mowing all day with battery powered equipment being charged in the trailer.
Yes,
from the solar panels.
Yes, yeah, and so between jobs, literally the batteries will charge between jobs. That was a big problem, is the battery and all the strength of that.
And apparently the batteries did fine. They were completely charged the whole day.
Yeah, it excelled in that part, and there's obviously a plug to the car as well, just in case, called the Anderson plug. So that's going to be on Thursday and Friday. It's a great honest assessment as well. It's everything's not all positive all the times. It's a real authentic sort of feedback from actually a bloke who's just out there every day. So.
We didn't even know how it was going to work.
No, we had no idea.
We hoped it would work.
And I know we've got a few blokes trying the gear on and off as well. So the Ego gear they provide has always been taken. So there's going to be a lot of stuff more done with that. I just want to give a few shout outs as well. We do have a Facebook group within the Gyms Group page called Your Local Experts. And we've got a couple of really active people in there. There's a guy called Mo Sokolji who's posts every day, and he shows us his day on the road. He takes selfies out there. He sees a Jim's mowing guy, takes a picture with him. He posts pictures of jobs. He does 6 jobs in a day. Mo's great, and that's what we love to do. Sharing is caring, so the more of that stuff you're sharing is awesome. And we've had other people started sharing, and a great one I heard this week was well done to Owen Brandwood and Graham Moore from Jim's Dog Wash, who were offering free services for those affected by the fires. So if people had a pooch up there and they had a bit of a tough time, it's still going obviously.
It's horrible there. We talked to our franchisees in that area, and they're really doing it bad. It's a tragedy. It's a natural disaster.
It absolutely is a national tragedy, but
we've got other ones who are delivering water. There's a lot of our guys helping out in various ways.
Yeah, if you are helping out, please let us know. It's not anything for promotion. We just want to know and just show people that everyone's helping out. But that was great to see Owen and Graham up there giving free services for poochers in need from obviously be affected by the fires. So they're doing that, which is awesome, and thanks for letting us know. Okay, and obviously as well, as always, we've got these 3 books as well to give away up front. And anyone who came over from Instagram, the hat, the Jim's painting hat, right? So we've got a few of these hats. This is a one-off collector item. So I think Jim likes more of the wide brim hat, but if you're a younger fella, right, you can go to a festival.
Yeah, you can put it on. Put it backwards to look
there. I reckon you look alright, that's good. That's alright. Festival season coming up, no worries. There you go, that's your advertising. But if you're over there on Instagram and watching here, let us know. We're going to give one of them as well, plus those 3 books. So there's 4 chances to win a book tonight. So please leave a comment or question for Jim. Anything goes. We have not knocked anything back yet. I don't think we have. So put it in there tonight and let's get going into it. All right. So I'm just going to acknowledge some people now joining in on the live feed here. Give me 1 second here. So we've got you joining in. Eric Jurgens joining in from Jim's Mama Cafe. Good evening to us all. Thanks, Eric. Cameron Jackson, I've got a question here, so I'll read that one in a minute. That's really good, Cameron. Thank you for leaving that. David McDonald's gone Bears. David's from Jim's Antennas. Bears have been ordered. Everything's been placed. They're just waiting for them to come. So when they do come, David, I've got you marked down for 2 Jim's Antennas Bears for helping Jim out with the problem. So they're definitely coming. They're on their way, so the order's been placed.
David's one of my favourite guys.
One of your favourite franchisees?
Fixed our problems. We love it, David. If you're on,
he's on. He's watching now.
David, we love it. We love all the video stuff. It's so great to have this going all the time. Love you, David.
There we go, David. One of Jim's favourite franchisees. That's what you can put on your vehicle now as a testimonial. Okay, so I'll get to another one.
I gave him a good survey too.
You did, and we actually posted the survey. So David sent me the actual survey.
5 stars.
That was exactly what you said. Yeah, it's a problem been bugging me for months. 5 stars. It was good. Awesome. And then Sir Steve now. Steve Walker, we've got to call him Sir Steve, who's tuned in off Foot Hill. You go Sir Stephen off the Foot Hills checking in from Canberra. So well done, Stephen. Thanks for doing that.
We should use these titles. If people want to get knighted, I think they should be learned to be called Sir Stephen or Lord John.
Well, we should change an FMS4 for him. Why not? For a bit of fun, for a month. We can put Sir Stephen in there.
Yeah, why not?
We'll confuse the girls.
Why can't we give knights? It just makes much sense to have some Tommy aristocrat giving out knights. Let me do it.
No worries. So what I'll do, guys, is I'll get into some of the questions that are left on the live feed here. So make sure you leave a question or comment in the live feed. It can be anything. I do have some here from last week as well, but we prefer the real action in real time. If you are watching via the other pages, we're not ignoring you. We can only see the ones in the Dreams Group HQ, and I do have Ben in the background scanning those other pages. Okay, so one here from Cameron Jackson. Now, it's a bit of a long one, Well, it's a bit of a long one, Cameron, so I'll try and get through it as best as I can here. But thanks for taking the time. Okay. Hi, Jim. Personally, why do you think that when some people start out creating a business, small or big, for the first time, that it can work out for them and can develop bigger and more successfully over time? What I mean by successfully is what an individual person seems to personally feel as an achievement for their business, while others seem not to be progressing into what they particularly want to create from the business and somehow seem to be doing wrong. Apparently, some studies say that globally, 30% of businesses fail in the first 2 years and 50% in the first 5 years. The ABS state that 1 in 3 small businesses fail in the first year of operation.
Well, that's talking about businesses that are like shops and so forth. For something like cleaning or mowing, it's more like 90 to 95% fail in the first year. We've got good stats on that. So it's actually very high. What makes the difference? Obviously, fanaticism about customer service. People think they give good customer service, and a lot don't. Willingness to learn, willingness to keep on learning. The ones that fail the worst are the ones that say, I'm doing everything right, I'm not going to change. If something's gone wrong, it's somebody else's fault. Somebody who looks back, no matter how well they do, and say, how can I do it better? I was reading this talking book about Israel, and they have all these, they love doing these debriefing. So after a war, what went wrong. And they'll even if they win the war, they'll still look at what went wrong and maybe fire somebody. So it's a very rigorous process of examination and never think you're good enough. And another thing, you've got to be very resilient. You've got to be able to take disappointment. You've got to be able to take setbacks and just keep on and on and on going. Because if you're in business, it's always going to be tough times. They're the main things.
Yeah, it's a great one, Cameron. And the statistics, as Jim said, are higher for some of the other ones that we know. That's why we like people coming into a franchise, because it gives them a bit of chance of success. Well,
as you look up online, there's the American thing called the Cleaning and Janitorial Service Association. If you look at their website, they reckon 95% of cleaning businesses fail in their first year, which is the most relevant statistic. With us, it's around about 11%. Yeah,
and we're pretty open with it as well, Cameron. We do quote that figure a lot, and we do say 11%, and that could be due to, well, why do you think that's due? As you said some of the things before, but...
Well, some people just aren't suited for business.
Yeah.
Some people don't like it. I had a call from a guy today, actually, who started off. He discovered he hates gardening. I mean,
so that doesn't help.
Doesn't mind mowing lawns, but he just wants to mow lawns. Doesn't want to do any weeding, any gardening, any rubbish, moving anything, and he's just finding it difficult, and he's dreading it. And we're just talking. What happened? He actually only spent a day out on the road before he bought the franchise. Really, it should be more time than that. You've got to understand whether you're going to love it. I mean, I reckon mowing lawns and gardening is a great way to make a business. I did it for 15 years.
Yeah, but you had a little bit of a passion, like it was a passion, or you enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
I like
important to pick something you enjoy.
To me, I'm going to go up to my farm at the weekend and I'm going to spend several hours just digging and slashing and doing things. I enjoy that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You've got to have a passion for it. You've got to have a heart for what you're doing.
We met a guy called Roger yesterday who did some filming for Jim's car detailing, and he had a passion for his car. He'd spend 6 to 7 hours just detailing his car. He was obsessed with it and thought, why not make a business out of it? So
yeah, well, car detailers tend to go, and dog wash people even more so. They
Yes.
love dogs. They're fanatical about dogs. People who love what they do, that's the best basis for any business.
Yes, it's important to do trial days as well, and have to make sure you definitely know, because it's not good if you do. You don't.
It was very sad for this guy. He's trying to find a buyer, but it's just coming up to Christmas, and it's really difficult for him to find a buyer. And it's just so much better, and it's not good. But actually, when people fail, sometimes they just get offered a great job. Somebody's without a job, they buy a franchise, and then they're all busted contact them and say, hey, I've got a great job for you, massive starting salary, come back. And they say, well, I'm going to leave.
That's it.
And some people actually, they go independent.
Yes.
Which we still count them as failures, but they're actually in business, making a successful living. But to us, it's a failure because they're not franchisees. So their actual success rate is remarkably good when you come to that, especially since most of them have never run a business before.
Yeah, that's true. And thanks for that question, Cameron. That's really good. If you think about starting a business, try us first and go for a trial day. It's something you like. And Roofy G's on here saying, don't forget to book in your spider control before the heat sets in. So I think Roofy and John Govic, your franchise, also termite pest control. That's a very good point. A lot of people try and book things at the last minute and they can't get someone. So before the heat sets in, get your spider control. I know I hear that a lot for other divisions as well. People want to book at the last minute and you can't get them because it's so in demand.
Yes.
So if you do want a Jim's person...
Oh, it's getting busy.
Get in early.
Christmas. People are so overloaded.
Correct. Get in early, guys. Don't leave it last minute. So thanks for that one, Roofy, and leaving a comment. We appreciate it. Eric Jurgen has gone with a question here. Was last week's numbers a record, and is this a growth trend that you are starting to see happening over the next few months?
Yeah, we had close to 100 actually. The most we've ever had in training. It was packed. It was a great training session. Very, very lively, very emotional, very intense. It was quite.
You got mobbed at the end, didn't you? I put a few pictures up with you, celebrity style, celebrity gym.
That's right. People were very emotional and very, very. It was quite something. Actually, it's probably going to be more the norm because with the sales team going now, we've got prospects of flooding in. We've already got quite a few booked in for December.
So yeah, pipelines will keep getting better and fuller, more.
We're a bit worried actually. There's only 123 seats in the stadium, but what's going to be booked out?
Well, it's a good problem to have.
Good problem. Traditionally, we've had about 60, but if you've got 150, what are you going to do?
Yeah, we have to work something out actually. Could be a problem we have to tackle next year, I reckon.
We'll have to have more frequent training.
We might have to do that actually. That was what was said. But thanks for that one, Eric. That's a really good and pointed question as well. We didn't pay you anything to plant that, but that's a really good one, Eric, and hope you're well. Okay, get to another questions that are left on the other live feeds here. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure you let us know you're here. Smash that like button, share button so we do know. Any bit of engagement helps. So I've got another one over here. So David Cardillo says, hi Jim and Joel. Hi David. I presume you may be watching over on one of the other live ones. Okay, this is a great question from Marco Di Simone. I'm a Jim's Mowing franchisee. What topics would you choose and think are important to discuss at our monthly franchise meetings? We've never had that one in 41 weeks. That's a great one, Marco. Thanks for watching. What topics would you choose and think are important to discuss at our monthly franchise meetings?
You want a variety of topics because different people need different things. One of the most important things is upselling. Because one of the major differences between most successful franchisees and others is their ability to upsell, to go to a client and say, look, if there's anything else you want done while I'm here, like if I want rubbish removed or gutters cleaned, happy to help. So teaching people to do that kind of thing, asking for referrals. As I say in training, here's my business card, here's a couple of extras in case you know anybody who needs work done. So finding more work that way, and you're talking about suppliers, talking about new equipment. There's many different things. Debt collection issues they have. I think actually often a good session is one where people just ask questions and somebody comes and answers them. And it's not just the franchisor too, because often the most successful people there are actually amongst the franchisees. We've got franchisees who make a lot more money than most franchisors. So you've got some very good people there who can give tremendously good advice. I think a group sessions often work very well. But try a few different things. Talk to your franchisor about what you want too, and
that's important.
Yeah. They usually franchisors will go based on what the franchises are telling them they need. So they'll try and do something.
Yeah. OH&S as well is a big one. I know a lot of them do a lot of OH&S.
Yeah. Keeping our guys safe is a very big thing. We had a tragic incident in Canada last week where one of our guys was killed. Our mowing guys.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, this is the first time. Well, I'm not. Well, what happened?
Well, apparently what happened is that he loaded the trailer with some very, very heavy containers of some kind, and the trailer was unhitched from the vehicle.
Right.
So it's a very unusual thing, because it's not something we normally do. And what he did apparently was he stood on the back of the trailer, and the trailer tipped and killed him on the spot. It's horrifying. It's the first time in more than 30 years any of our franchisees have died on the job. So it's a big shock. So
it's a massive shock, and that's why we're going to reinforce the OH&S and hopefully all the franchisors.
It's kind of like a very unusual thing. It's not like misusing a chainsaw or something we do all the time. It's something that you wouldn't. How could you possibly guard against it? But I did talk to Mike about it, Mike Davenport, and I said, look, can we just do something in training to really emphasise these kinds of issues? Certainly, having your trailer unhitched from the vehicle is a potential danger point. I don't think people do it very often, but you've got to be careful because there's nothing holding it in place.
Yeah, it's a tragic accident.
So that kind of thing, and certainly I know Peter, he's very upset about it. I
can imagine.
He's going to talk about it in their training over there because they don't come to Australia from Canada. But, yeah, it's very sad.
So safety is very important, but as Jim suggested before, talk to your franchisor as well. What would you like to see them talk about there, I guess, was another good point. But thanks for tuning in and asking that one, Marco. And then Jason Londimo has gone, maybe you need an experienced lawn gardener man to fill in when needed. That's for the other guy before who just wants to do the mowing. David Rumps tuned in and said, hi Dave from Jim's Dog Washing in Western New South Wales. So thank you for tuning in, Dave. And now Kim McGavick, I think it's from Jim's Dog Washing in New Zealand, has gone with a question here, Jim. So I'm going to read this one to you. This is a good one. I don't think we've had this one either. Can you do what can you do if you do a job with the owner's mother present, only to have the owner later give you a bad review when all you did was what was asked by the client's mother that was with you the whole groom. Seems to be really unfair and quite demoralising. Oh, and by the way, it needed to be muzzled as it hates grooming process, and I've done this dog 3 times. Did I need to video record the groom for evidence? I would have thought my track record would have told a story. There's a difficult one.
It's very difficult when you've got more than one person to please. This often happens when you do a vacate clean or a garden or house.
Fences as well. When there's multiple people.
Yeah. You've got to try and satisfy multiple people. It's incredibly difficult. You do what the person on the spot says. If somebody else doesn't do it, I mean, we have a policy that if you don't do the job right, and you get a complaint or a bad survey, if you can go back and do something to satisfy the client, do it again or offer them a freebie or something, then we'll remove the complaint. I just did one of those an hour ago, actually.
Do you remember that complaint from Kim at all that Kim's referring to? Do you remember that one at all?
This is the one where the mother said,
yeah.
No.
You can't remember it?
Okay. I mean, I delete probably at least a dozen surveys or complaints a day. When there's reason. And obviously, when a franchisee's got a very good rating, like especially 4.6 and above, I take a fairly lenient line, and they've got a lot of credibility in my view. I mean, if somebody's on 3.9, it's a bit different if they say the complaint is unfair. But if you've got a generally good rating, we tend to be fairly liberal about it. But the idea, generally speaking, if the client isn't happy, you try and do something to make the client happy, because a single complaint for a generally good franchisee has really no significance. It just hurts, that's all, and we recognise that. But at the same time, you can't ignore what the clients say. So
maybe deal with, email Jim on that one, Kim. I don't know, you probably might have come through as a complaint, I can't remember, but Jim would know because he deals with all the complaints more than everyone else. So.
Well, it's very difficult. I mean, if you can, or the franchisor can get in touch and have the client recognise that their mother was the one that approved it, and that's reasonable. I mean, you just got to get some way of. The whole point about the system is we want to keep the customer happy. It's not so much a matter of following precise guidelines to say, okay, what's going to make our customers into raving fans? Because in the end, a happy customer is going to tell people use gyms.
Yeah.
And that's why we get so much work. We've got this 180,000 unserviced leads a year, because on the whole, customers like us and they have a good experience. So it's always going to be at the bottom of your mind. Not so much have I followed a pattern and procedures that is proper and fair in my view, but have I made the customer happy? And even if you do weird stuff to make the customer happy, then it really pays. Not just for yourself, but for everybody else. Because there's thousands of franchisees out there depending on us for work. And there's always a tension with complaints.
There is, and that's what we
franchisees get very upset about complaints, and they like them. I guess if I deleted every complaint, I'd be very popular. But the trouble with that is, once your customer service slips, the work's going to go down, and people aren't going to be as busy, and they're not going to make as much income, and they're not going to be happy. So you try and give credence to franchisees, especially good ones, but at the same time, you've got to keep the standards up. I had a franchisee this afternoon who was very upset because he got the wrong address, and he went to the job, but the client wasn't there. He tried ringing the client, and the client then comes back and says, no contact, bad review. And I said, okay, but did you do the one thing we say in the manual and the newsletters again and again and again? Did you text the client? No, he didn't. But he said, I did everything right, in my view. But you didn't text the client. And we have thousands of clients a year who are angry and upset and will never use this again because somebody's failed to spend a minute sending a text. So what do? Do you say when it's in text, that's okay, you do everything else right, I don't mind if the customer's unhappy, I don't mind if you lost a job? Or do you say, look, learn your lesson, next time send a text. It takes less than a minute to send a text. Send an email, text. Try to phone, don't get through, text.
So Kim's gone here, 2 stars, two 5 stars today, go figure. So we'll have to might look at Kim's star rating. Well, you might have to look at Kim's star rating when you go back.
Well, Kim's probably pretty good. I mean, most franchisees are. Yeah. I don't know what the star rating is, but yes. I mean, even our poorest franchisees mostly get most of their reviews will be 5 stars. So it's not a case that they do all bad work. It's just a case they do too many bad jobs. And unfortunately, you know the story. If you're happy with the job, you'll tell 5 people. If you're not, you'll tell 50. So if 1 in 10 of your clients is unhappy, well then you've got a pretty bad problem.
But Kim watches every week, and thanks for leaving that detailed one there. We haven't had that one before, and it's good because it's not the easy. Not the easiest one.
It's not
so we
easy.
appreciate it.
It's not easy.
We appreciate that one. So get to some more comments and questions that are coming in on the live feed here. So you just go on here, you Reno. Do you have knowledge of competitors like VIP and other success rates with various divisions like mowing and cleaning? So do you know any of the success rates, let's say with VIP or Fox or whoever it was? Or no?
We have no figures. We can't even get accurate numbers of franchisees from them. We give everybody our exact numbers. That's from FMS, but you cannot get those from elsewhere. I've seen VIP claim to have 1,000 franchisees, and that's ridiculous. Just based on trailer proportions, they couldn't have more than 300, we reckon. Because you see 10 of ours for one of theirs. That's just basically it.
Yeah, you think that disclosed, but there's no data online at all.
No.
So I've got another quick. Enver's tuned in here. Hi, Joel and Jim. Enver from Jim's Blind Cleaning and Repairs here. I emphasise repairs. I've learned to say that we can't leave off repairs, and we've got a whole bunch of content with Enver, which was out regarding the repair side of the blind cleaning repairs. But Enver's a good bloke, and we went out there yesterday and filmed a lot of content with him, which was great. We've got a whole bunch of photos and stuff which we're going to share really soon. Cameron Jackson's gone in for another question here underneath it. So thanks for leaving your question and comments there, because if you do, we will get to them tonight. So make sure you like it, share it, or comment. Actually, there's one more here. Haydar Hussein, the man, he's going, hi gents, great info as usual. I get great value from you both. P.S. Thanks for coming out the other day. It's my pleasure. And I love going out to the cleaning group because they're the best hosts we have. Because they have Turkish coffees, they have food, they have everything.
Yeah, I've been.
It's great.
We did that session from there the other week. It was amazing. I've never even seen their headquarters, but it's great.
Yeah.
Very impressive. Much better than our offices here. They're a bit shut.
They put it to shame. Yeah, that's true. But massive thanks to Haydar, Ali, Ali's lovely wife, and all the franchises. It was great. We met Sel, we met Enver, Muzz. I'm trying to think who else. Obviously Mia, who's their brand manager. Some other people I'm forgetting, but they're a great host to us, and we went through a lot of stuff. It was a tiring day, but it was great to get all that value. And I equated probably, if you were getting that independently done, Jim, probably 10 to 15k of final product and filming that we did yesterday, which was great. So we're looking forward to that. And Haydar's always great just to chat about life and business and stuff like that. We always have a good talk. So he's a great man, and looking forward to having some more stuff with him.
Yeah, when he's on his Cyprus, in his mansion on the waterfront there, he looks terrific.
Yeah, he's doing well. All right, we've got one here. Emma's gone for question. Great, Emma. Thank you for leaving a comment, Emma. I appreciate it. I've known you've left a couple before. Hi, Jim. Do you think some clients might use Jim's knowing that they can do fake claims, take advantage of our system? Say a job is done and a franchisee was naive or too new to see the job might cause them a problem, or they could do some damage to the client as well as was aware of this. Has this happened previously many times before?
Oh, yes. Yes. We
I've never had that one too.
There are so many instances where people obviously taking advantage of us, and I see it all the time. People say the customer's always right. No way is the customer right. We have any number of times where we'll simply back the franchisee. We had one claim for a lady who got some rose bushes. She beckoned pruned too far back, and she wants like $750. Well, you know,
$750.
That's what she's asking for.
Yeah.
And she's even claiming that because it's uncovered part of the house, and there's some floorboards, there's some boards showing that look bad. She wants to replace the boards. This kind of stuff, which is quite ridiculous.
There's some rorts, especially with the insurance claims back when I used to sort of work and see some of those claims. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, people do, and they think because we've got a brand name, but frankly, I don't care about reputation so much as to pay a fraudulent claim. People, and sometimes it's perfectly obvious. Like one case I mentioned where there was a damage to the back corner of a car, and they said it was because the franchisee rubbed it with a rag. Well, how can a rag do that?
Yeah.
So when people claim for something that seems so implausible, we just tend to say no, he didn't do it.
Well, the ones I used to see a lot which annoyed us was when a car would drive by and the guy's whippersnippering, right? Then they'd say, "Oh, you scratched my car" or whatever. The poor old franchisee has to put a claim in. And when it goes to the panel beaters, they try and put in right door, back door, this, you know what I mean? And it goes from, you think, be a chip in it to a 10 grand sort of claim. So happens a lot. And that's a great question, Enver. And thanks for leaving that one. I don't think we've had that one before.
No.
There's
a lot of situations where we actually back the franchisee. Because I suppose one difference between us and a normal business is that our franchisees are actually our number one client, not the clients out there. They're important. Obviously, we want to look after them. But at the same time, if a franchisee's been treated unfairly, we definitely want to support them.
But I have seen email chains before where you back the franchisee over the client, and it can frustrate them. So it's not just we just lay down.
And sometimes we'll actually, if we want to quieten the client down, we'll actually pay the claim from the warranty fund. just to get rid of it because we don't think the franchisee is at fault. That's not that uncommon either. So, yeah.
So thanks for that one, Amber. That's great. He says, thanks for all your hard work.
That particularly applies too, I must say, when the franchisee's got a great track record. So one of the great things about surveys and complaints, even though they're hurtful when they go bad, if you've got a good record overall, you've got an enormous amount of credibility when it comes to anything like that.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that because Kim McGarrick's put a star rating in, which is 4.7.
4.7, well, what'd they say?
And Dina Margin's gone from one of the other live pages, Hi Jim and Joel, so hi Dina.
See, it hurts somebody when they got 4.7 and you get an occasional complaint or a bad review.
Yeah.
It hurts, and it probably hurts more than somebody who's on 4.1. But at the same time, you look at that person and you say they're a great operator and we're proud to have them and it's overall incredibly, and sometimes people say to me, I wish you could just get rid of all the negative surveys, but I said you got 4.8, your survey rate is 4.8. If I got rid of all the negatives, you'd be exactly the same as the worst franchisee in the system and I wouldn't know how good you are. That's not in your interest and you'd have no credibility if there's a problem with a client. So even though it hurts, if you've got an overall great rating, it gives you a tremendous benefit in so many ways.
Well, thanks for all that interaction with that one, Kim, tonight. That's been great. Thanks for that question, Emma. And he's gone, thanks for all your hard work, Joel. Thank you, Emma, to you guys, actually. More probably hard work because you're the actors in it. And thanks to Ben and Jake because they've got to do all the editing and stuff afterwards. But no, it was a great day, Emma. We love doing it. Can't wait to do some more. And another question here from Eric, which is an interesting one. How do we keep all of the texts on our phones with the amounts that some would receive? I hate keeping that many texts on my phone. Is there a better way to store them? From Eric.
Down the track a bit, Jim's Jobs, sometime next year, we'll be able to do all this stuff for you. When you send a text, actually the phone, the program
the phone
will
version,
send
the mobile app version.
The mobile app will send the text. So you ring the client and you simply say, didn't get through, it'll send a text, it'll record the text, if there's any issues at all, it's all in the system. One of the great things Jim's Jobs will do when it's ready and when it's properly programmed is actually get rid of all of unfair complaints. So for example, if you say, I'm going to give a quote to the client by so-and-so, then you actually, that's recorded in the system. That you won't even send a survey out to the client while the quote's still pending. So there's no chance for the client to say, or if you actually make an appointment with the client and you do that, it'll text the client, it'll tell your client when the appointment is. That's free. That's a get out of jail free card. If the client rings up in the meantime and says, hey, you haven't come, look at the system and say, no, you're booked for Thursday.
That's true, and that's going to be something that's out really soon, or hopefully next year in the app version. But you're right, there'll be database decision, right? There's no he said, she said. You want more data to be able to go, bang, take that out of it.
Yeah, and I go through most complaints in the whole system every day and look at these things and why they're happening, and then I get the responses. What can we do to reduce the number of complaints, but even more than that, to reduce the number of unfair complaints?
Yeah, and that would be great for the franchisees, you know. If the franchisees do everything right, there's no more way they can get, you know.
It's amazing too how oftentimes you get a terrible complaint, did a shocking job, and the poor franchisee emails me, I didn't do the job, they fixed the post. I see that so often, and every time I kind of laugh, I say, well, that teaches you for getting a cheap quote and getting a good guy. But
actually, do you say this to the customer?
No.
Oh, come on.
Of course not.
Good.
I say it to the franchisee and the franchisor.
Have a bit of a laugh.
Because I didn't say they're not rude to customers, but hopefully they learned their lesson.
You can be a bit cheeky with them sometimes. We've got one from Denise. So Denise from our lovely training manager and franchisor support has gone national office staff. Who is the noisiest, most helpful, the naughtiest, the most knowledgeable, best squash player, best table tennis player?
Well, Archie is the best at table tennis.
That's true. Yeah, so table tennis is Archie. Who's the best squash player?
Well, actually, Leo and myself are neck and neck. We played this afternoon. He just about killed me. I think it was like 3-2 in the end.
There we go. So that's squash. What about knowledgeable?
Knowledgeable? Oh, everybody's an idiot. Not me, that's for sure.
I'll say Leah.
Leah knows everything.
Exactly
Leah knows everything. Who's the most noisy? I don't know. Someone like Denise. I reckon you'd go pretty good in Denise. She's a very noisy character.
I'm saying Sylvia. Sylvia's laughing.
Well, you know, if you count everybody in the whole national office, Sylvia would be up there. That's pretty noisy too, you know.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
There we go, keep it down. Someone says...
Not this guy, sits in the corner just like that.
I just work. That's exactly right. No time to laugh, no time to laugh. No time. Then we have, she said, the naughtiest. Who causes you trouble? The naughtiest. I don't know in what context, but the naughtiest one.
I don't know. I reckon Archie's pretty.
Archie?
Oh yeah, he's a card. That guy.
Yeah, he's a big character, Archie. He's yeah, definitely. Lucky we don't have the
Yeah, I know. He has a go at me and stuff. I have a go at him too. I threatened to get him a picture of him with in bathers because Archie is. And put him up there as a warning. If you don't watch your diet and eat all these chocolates they lay out, then
it's a good advertising campaign. It's a good reminder. I'll definitely have to do with that.
Well, I tell you what, since we've been getting fruit from Jim's Home Fresh,
it's been good.
Every Monday we get 2 big boxes of beautiful fruit, and that's great. And I noticed a lot less junk food around, so I'm very pleased about that.
Yeah, because I give them dirty looks. I can't stand when they put the junk food in. They give up. It's bad.
If I see that, I go, well, you shouldn't have bring this, but I'll just have one.
You'll take one. You're all right.
Just to avoid the temptation.
Yeah, but you're pretty shredded though, Jim. You don't have to worry about yourself because you're doing running every day. And there's someone here, which is the last one, most helpful. Who's the most helpful?
Oh.
I'd say me. You go, can you organise this? Yes. Can you organise this? Yes.
Nah.
No, I'm not the most helpful, right?
Definitely not. No, I think
Leah's pretty helpful with you.
I think Leah is great.
Yeah.
I think Archie's great. I think Bev is wonderful. I think Chloe is great. I think Angie is great.
Chloe's just got married as well, so she's on her honeymoon at the moment.
Just got married.
Yeah.
Look, they're wonderful. We really have a great bunch of people in our office. They're just good people. And they care about what they do too. They really do.
Oh, they definitely do. It's a good crew at the moment, and Angie's just laughing on there, so Angie's watching, so good to see you experiencing it. Okay, so Haydar's gone with the question here. This will be a good one. Jim, transferring leads is common due to FMS not being updated. What's your advice? Question mark.
Not being updated.
So transferring leads is common due to FMS not being updated. What's your advice?
No, I don't know what that means. But the biggest problem we have is that a job is sent to one person and it's transferred to somebody else, but it's not put through on FMS. So the survey goes out for the first guy.
Right.
And instead of that, the person who actually did the job, or perhaps let the client down. That's the biggest issue. When you actually transfer a job, you've got to actually show that they're the ones that did it.
Yeah. I'm just trying to give the update.
But it's updated. But FMS is updated by the franchisee. They can go at any time and just change it to Jim's online, or they can ring the call centre. So it should be 100% up to date.
Right. So it's up to the franchisee. But he's saying it's a problem for him. So what's your advice?
Hey, give me a call. I don't know what you mean exactly, but we were just talking this afternoon. So
yeah, that's good. David, thanks for that one, Hayder. David McDonald's got my fruit today from Jim's Home Fresh, and David's up in Horsham. So I got that at Horsham.
Good stuff.
That's good, David. That's great. We love cross-division runs, and we love divisions buying and using other divisions, and we love to see more. That's cool. It's really good stuff. Then David Cardillo's gone, is Jim's job's going to be available for franchisees?
It already is available for franchisees. It's just not totally mobile yet. It's web-based. It's got a lot of great features. But
so the web-based version is live now?
Web-based version is live.
Okay, so you can access it from a phone, but not in the version of an app.
I think you have to go with iPad or something.
Right.
Or Android version.
Well, the short answer is yes. The app is for the franchisees. So.
Well, actually, we've got a lot more people using Jim's Jobs than any other program, including Formatize or anything else. So it's there. It's just hasn't got the full features. So early next year, by about March, April, we'll hopefully have something that's equivalent.
You've put all the resources into it now. You've gone bang. So it needs to. That's the focus.
We pulled up our IT off everything else.
Correct.
And just to focus on this. We've got people in India working on, people in the Philippines. They're all over the place.
Even internally, they've stopped their things and are all put onto one thing. So manpower. So it's big.
Very important. Jim's Jobs is very important to us because it's actually going to. It's not only going to be a great program, it's easy to use, but it'll also do a lot of other things. It'll warn people they haven't called back a client. It will actually guard them against unfair complaints. It'll make sure that a survey goes out at the right time. So when the job is finished, as soon as you finish it, survey goes out.
Yeah, there's none of that generic 9 thing to cover 9 day or 10 day delay to cover everything, right?
There are so many ways it's going to be better, and franchisees who use it are going to have a lot less complaints and a lot better star rating than those who.
Sorry, I've just had a late breaking information on it. Jim's Jobs Classic is live now, which is the rewritten version.
Yes.
Jim's Jobs Web will be early next year. Jim's Jobs Web's ready early next year. So Jim's Jobs Classic, the rewritten version is ready now. We can print PDFs and whatever else the issues were. They've solved that.
Okay.
So I've been told to amend that. So I've got an Infotech late mail coming in. So
all right.
Yeah, that's all right. So that's early next year. And Jim's Jobs Classic is still Windows PC application until Jim's Jobs Web is ready early next year. So the good thing about that is early next year, Jim's Jobs Web you can access on all devices, which has been a frustration because you need to have a Windows PC to access it. So next year, early web version, you'll be able to access it on anything, Android, iOS, whatever. Then obviously the app, Jim's you put all your resources and you hunker down, you want that done. So that's their main focus. So thanks for that one. That's a great question. Got another one here on the live feed. So we've got another 20 minutes with Jim's. He's got to go at the end, but please make sure you leave a comment, question or share and we'll get to as many as we can. So Michael J. Ribbons, who's been watching a lot of the week, so thanks for this, Michael. Still looking at doing Jim's Legal or Jim's Justice legal services? And if so, do you think there would be a market for ethical lawyers?
Absolutely, there is. That's why I love to do it. Because our whole rating system is what the lawyers need. People go to a lawyer they don't know and the lawyer rips them off blind, but nobody knows about it. But with Jim's, if you do that kind of stuff, you're going to get killed really quickly and you won't get any more work. So we're going to actually use a feedback system and a comparison system and a rating system to actually gather the ethical lawyers under one banner. I think there's a huge need for that, because the damage done by unethical lawyers is shocking. And I've seen people being damaged by it.
Yeah, definitely. All the time. You hear it all the time, haven't you, when you do some research with franchising stuff as well?
Yeah, that's right. I'd love to do Jim's Legal. I'd love to have the right people gathered under the same banner. I think we could do very well.
I'm hoping more legal tech gets done. So a lot of lawyers graduating now actually don't be lawyers, they go work for tech firms, because tech firms are trying to create apps and various resources to try and educate people before they have to go to a lawyer. So I'm hoping that...
There's also a lot of opportunities for efficiency. Like a lot of stuff that lawyers do could be done incredibly simply. Like Wheels is an example. Yeah. For example, so if you had a situation where you could have an app and you could just go into it and you put the relevant details in and it just prints you out.
You can have a blockchain ledger almost, and so no one can change it, who's changed it, all that sort of stuff.
Blockchain, but certainly you can, like we do with our contracts. With our contracts, it's we have a very complicated contract and disclosure document as required by the government. But in reality, it's all online. So the franchisor goes in, puts the relevant details in, everything's established, and just like that, and it's printed. And it's a really simple process. I reckon a lot of legal work could actually be automated, and much more than is done now.
Yeah, they want to block that though, so they can't charge the rates though. That's the problem. They're probably the industry itself stifles it.
Yes, but that's the point, because if we're looking at the legal services from the point of view of the customer, rather than from the point of view of the legal profession. And I don't give a stuff if we halve the number of lawyers in this country. There's far too many.
There is far too many. It seems to be every second person's doing a law commerce degree now, which is what I did. Every second person's doing it. So
yeah, but most people who do law degrees don't become lawyers.
That's very true.
My son James used to say that there's more law students in this country than there are lawyers.
That's true. He's
doing well, but
he's doing well, James. G'day, James, if he's watching. So thanks for that one, Mike. We appreciate it. So Aaron Collinson's got the question here. This is a great question. We haven't had it before. Lots of good questions and comments tonight, guys. They've been all new, so it's great. Aaron Collinson, what is the benefit of creating and maintaining something like Jim's Jobs over a third-party applications? Is it the ability to integrate with FMS? Not fancy, but I'd say...
First of all, we had a look at a whole lot of different systems, and we were prepared to go with one. We chose Formatize. It seemed to be the best, but one of the issues with it is, there's a couple of issues. First of all, it's very, very, very hard to use. And people kept on saying, Jim's Jobs is great. The interface is so good. You can just go into it and start using it. You don't need elaborate training. So from the point of view of our people, bear in mind, most of them don't have PhDs in technology. You know, these are cleaners and gardeners and so forth. They're not dumb, but they're not people who are really, really cluey about technology. Yeah. So you've got to have a system that's very easy to use. You also want one that's very well supported, and one of the problems we have with Formatize is that they just don't support well. Now in Jim's we have a very strong ethic of support, because if anybody contacts the office and doesn't get proper support, they contact me, and they've all got my email address and phone number and tell me I'm not getting any access, and I'll immediately walk into IT and say, why aren't you helping my franchisee? So we have a very strong system of support. And the third thing, of course, is that this ability to liaise with our system, so that we get a job comes in, it just gets plopped into the diary. Then you press a button and you phone the client. You don't get through, you press another button and it sends a text. You actually make an appointment, it texts the client and books it in. It lets us know, so we can have less complaints and less unfair complaints. It warns people if they haven't rung back in time. It just does a whole lot of different things that help people to run a more efficient business. And because we are not primarily technologists, we are service contractors. and we look at it from the point of view of somebody, and we understand it from the inside in a way these other companies don't, because they're basically versed in the technology.
And another good point is the two-way talk, right? You only can only go one way for the information. So the only Jim's jobs at the moment will only be the one that we can do talk both ways, right? Information this way and back. All of them can do one-way information. We can't get any information back. So all that stuff you want to do when the stuff done, we don't know. But also the other frustrating thing is when franchisees wanted something altered or franchisors for their division, the developers at the start would say, yeah, we can do all this customization or whatever. But once they get the contract, they don't do it. So
they just spent the money and didn't do a whole lot of stuff that was promised. And you need different charts for different divisions. Each division is structurally different. So you need modifications which they just weren't doing. They were getting a huge amount of money and just not doing enough work.
Correct. So the plan is to get it right for the majority of franchisees, and then those more specialised divisions which require a bit more care and a bit more alteration will be developed and modules added on as it goes. That was the problem as well. We just couldn't customise it to make everyone happy as well. But
That's
also,
right.
Our blokes love this run sheets still. So, half of the franchisees are 2/3 are mowing and cleaning, and they love them print out their stuff and here's the run sheet and tick them off and what they need, the chemicals or whatever.
It's true. If the franchise has got a problem with the system, it's very easy to have something done about it. You can get attention from myself, head of the company, and then we'll look at it and say, well, is this a feature that is going to be useful? Let's put it in. So we can we listen very, very closely to our franchisees, which is one of the reasons I like franchisees contacting them, which they do many, many, many times a day. A franchisee will contact me about something, often about complaints and surveys, but about anything.
Yeah.
We had a case just yesterday where a franchisee, a very new franchisee, was badly let down by the franchisor. They just weren't responding to them, they weren't helping them, and this poor lady was desperate. Now I looked into the situation. This franchisor had been breached back earlier this year for poor service. We did a bit of investigation, a bit of checking. We terminated the franchisor the next day.
Right.
That's and communicated with the franchisees and as to what's going on. Now the franchisor is going to get paid out. They'll have the business bought off them, but they can't stay as a franchisor. That kind of listening to franchisees is so important, I believe. Understanding what's going wrong and then doing something about it.
That's a great question and comment, Aaron. And we do know there's some really tech-heavy franchisees who get a program called Zapier and hook up 3 or 4 apps, and they have it down to a pat. But we need to make something two-way communication for all the data that Jim wants to do to stop all those complaints, and they can verify it. No other third party can get data back the other way from FMS. So Jim's Jobs is the only one that will be able to do that.
It's proof you've done the right thing.
Yeah. You
send a quote. You don't get the job, somebody else does it, the complaint comes back about quality, we immediately know, well, you didn't do it.
That's it.
So actually it's helped a lot of problems.
So Shane Charnsham's gone here for another one. He's a franchisor from Shane. And Shane watches every week and leaves a comment and questions, so appreciate you, Shane. Hi Jim, as a franchisor, will Jim's Jobs be useful for us to use, and what features will it have for a franchisor? So franchisor will be more Jimbo, won't it?
Yeah, Jimbo's going to be fantastic. Jimbo's the moment where the franchisors can ring in franchisees and be reminded who to call and take notes and follow up prospects and do a whole lot of different things. The people who've used it love it. They want it now. The ones who've been trialing it.
Yeah, they did. They love it. They love the view of it. They can actually overview if their thing really easy out on the road on the phone. So
you can be driving a car and you can do everything. You can be ringing a franchisee. You can understand. Have summary of where they're at.
Yeah.
Read the previous note if you want. You can talk to them. You can take the note. Then you go to the next one. It's just going to be so much easier to do that. So
what's the ETA on that one? Do you know roughly? I'm putting you on the spot with that one. Is it going to be sometime early next year? Because the screens are all done. Like we've seen, the screens are all done.
Very soon, actually. Very soon. Maybe even December. I don't know.
December. Okay.
It's coming up. It's a lot quicker than Jim's Jobs is going.
Yeah, because it's all been done and everything's features and finalised.
But Jim's Jobs will be very useful for a franchisor too, because it helps them to understand what a franchisee is doing. So you've got a franchisee, for example, who's saying, I've got a very poor conversion rate. Now, at the moment, you might be guessing that something's wrong, but you don't know why. But if they're on Jim's Jobs, you will actually be able to talk to them and say, look, the problem you've got is that your average return call time is 40 minutes after you get the call. You're not doing quick enough, and particularly for online jobs, you need to be a lot faster. So how can we go about getting you to get that call back within the first 2 or 3 minutes? What's happening when the call comes in? And that's going to be there. So when they're coaching the franchisee who's got a problem, And the franchisee starts doing that, and suddenly the conversion rate rise, they start making money. And they avoid getting into bad habits.
There'll be more data access. But that's a great question, Shane. And hopefully, what Jim said, that the Jimbo one, they franchisors have been tested and love it, is really, really soon. Ben Zan's gone here from the Instagram. How do I get the hat? You listened, Ben. So we did a live show on Instagram real quickly for 5 minutes before we go live on Facebook. Get people on Instagram over to Facebook. And I said,
enjoy your hat, Ben. Here it is.
It's a very cool hat, Ben. And you've had Jim putting it on back. Actually, we'll try the strap on this so it actually sits on you.
Good, my head is rather enormous.
This is worn by Jim.
There you go.
So it's a very rare hat.
Like that.
Very, very
or
rare.
even backwards. I want to be really cool.
There we go. Ready for festival season. There we go. So there you go. Well done, Ben. All right. DM us your address and I'll send it out to you. The Mike Rubin's got another comment here. It's like the taxi unions versus Uber when it comes to hindering technology to making money. Yes, it is with lawyers and they'll do everything to make money. And Inva's gone with another question. This is great. More questions which are unique. And another question, Jim. This is about unserviced jobs. Do you think the idea of telling clients that we don't have a franchisee to service them, but we can put them in touch with High Pages might do damage to Jim's brand in the long term? Say the client was very happy with High Pages, the next time they don't need a service or don't even bother calling Jim's. It's a very poignant question. It's a good one.
I hope nobody from High Pages is watching this, but let me tell you, once they've tried us and tried High Pages, they like Jim's a lot better. We might not be as cheap, but the fact that somebody turns up and does a great job vast majority of the time.
So this is the unserviced job obviously going through, and they get offered a contract via that platform.
But you know what's the point about it is you've got to look at it from both points of view too. High Pages is a business that's invested $100 million plus, huge amounts of money to get it going. Jim's has been going for a long while, but this is a very new venture for us, but it's rising very fast. Just about every week our numbers just going out is more. Now, getting money from High Pages, what that means is we can afford to invest in getting more and more and more of the market. In actual fact, taking over the market. And I think in the long run, we're going to do a lot better than High Pages simply because we're going to give a better service. And so in a sense, I look at the other point of view, High Pages is doing this, so they can understand why they want to buy our unserviced lead. But at the same time, the money that we'll get from it will make us a ferociously powerful competitor. We're only losing, we're getting about 15% of our unserviced leads being taken up by Jim's Plus now. And some of the others are going to go into High Pages when it's all completed. But what if we can get 60%, 70%, 80% of our unserviced leads better for the clients, and then we can use the money to actually promote the system and get more work for our franchisees.
Well, Jim does put everything back in the business, so we do know that, and that's quite clear. Thanks for that one, Emma. That's a great question and comments tonight. We appreciate it. Ben Zan's gone, if you didn't start mowing, what would you be doing? So Ben's obviously a younger fella on the other one. I think we've probably done this before, but weren't doing mowing. If you didn't do mowing back in the day, what would you be doing?
Something outside.
Outside.
Tree lopping is a great business.
Yeah.
I like that.
The tree doctor, Jim the tree doctor.
Yeah.
Arborist. Yeah.
But I wouldn't work inside.
No.
Fencing's a great business too. I like gardens and stuff. So anything green is good.
Could have been a golf greenkeeper or something. You might have liked that.
No.
You would like being a greenskeeper at a golf course.
I like the domestic market. I used to know a cemetery once, and it was the most boring job. I made $140 a day, which is back in the mid 1970s was fantastic money, but it was so boring. I hated the job.
No one ever spoke to you then?
Yeah, your clients just lying there with these panels in the ground. They didn't say a thing. So I like the domestic. I really like the domestic mowing, gardening, because you're going out there, you're mowing some lawns, you're doing some gardening, some pruning, you're chatting with your clients, cleaning out their gutters, just doing different stuff all the time, moving around, and it's very lucrative because your hourly rates are very, very good. So I like the domestic stuff, but yeah, I think trees.
We have trees. We don't have trees mentioned too much, so trees will go. Jim's trees.
Wait, but Jim's trees is a good division.
It is a great division. A lot of work, good money, great money actually.
Very good money. I know a tree guy's clearing $1 million a year.
Yes,
they make very good money, and they have these giant chippers and stuff like that.
Stump grinders, all that sort of stuff.
Grinders, and they have all this expensive equipment, but it's
they make good coin. I remember that. Get in the trees.
Yeah. It's also very, very. That's just like those rugged, masculine type of thing, like the lumberjack.
The woodland, the lumberjack style, right?
Yeah.
So they should almost have like a lumberjack Jim's uniform.
Yeah.
They've got the high vis. Ivy's lumberjack sort of plaid shirt.
Do you like in Monty Python? You ever seen a lumberjack song?
No, I haven't.
He's a lumberjack and he's all right. I know.
Oh, yeah, I have heard.
And then he goes a bit off after a while. It's classic.
That's a great one. Thanks for
Love Monty Python.
Thanks for leaving that one. That's a great question, actually, because we got a different answer to this one. So appreciate that. You got the hat coming your way. Eric Jurgens has gone. He asked the boys how they went with the subtitles idea. So I don't know what the subtitles idea is. I don't know. Ben might be yelling from behind the camera.
The subtitle was like on the fly.
On the fly. Subtitles on the fly. Oh, okay. Is that from last week when the sound dropped out, maybe? Yeah, you start typing stuff in, yeah. Last week we had sound went out for 4 minutes, unfortunately. But the boys were devastated with that. They kick themselves harder than anyone when there's any sound issues or anything like that. But if you want to see the funniest subtitles one, we showed you remember the Laughing Spanish Man?
Yeah.
And they put him to you. Laughing Spanish Man is the best. Go to YouTube or go to the Facebook page if you don't want to scroll down. You'll see that. We're going to do more extracts of Jim book to some other clips to get more downloads. And if you haven't downloaded Jim's book, please do.
Yeah, funny. I was packing myself on that one.
The Laughing Spanish Man. You haven't seen that one before, have you, that video clip?
No, I haven't. There's another one going around too, which we can't
we're not saying
anybody at all.
No, but you did it.
But it's so funny, but no, you can't let it out.
That's true. Now Shane Chartram's gone, would it be possible to put up my hand to be part of the trial for this? So is that a trial? If that's a trial for Jim's jobs, then I would say yes.
Yeah, sure.
But Jimbo, I think, has already been done with trial of Zors. But if you want access to actually what it looks like and stuff, I know Liv can probably give you that access. So if you want to email info, just put that request through and see what they can say. But Jim's job, sure, you can definitely do that when that's available.
Jimbo will be fantastic. It really will. It's. I can't wait to see it done. It'll be good for mine too, because I make these phone calls on my anniversary phone calls 10, 15, 20, 25 years, which is great. I love doing it actually, but it'd be so nice and easy if I can just say next to them, I can have all the information and phone somebody up, and then just wonderful.
That's true. Now I get to another question that was actually given us to on Instagram. So I posted something for Jim's questions, and I haven't had this one before. I don't know what the response will be. It was from an Instagram person who left it on the comment. It was, why aren't you on the $100 bill? that was the question from someone on Instagram. Well, I don't even know what a $100 bill looks like. I don't get paid enough, so I haven't seen one. But why aren't you on the $100 bill?
John, you get grossly underpaid.
It's a joke. What about $1 trillion?
I'm thinking of cutting your salary in half. It's such a great place to work. Why would you want to get paid for working here? Come on.
You didn't say it to me the other day. Why do you even pay it? You just rock up and do things with fun when we're talking about doing some stuff. I'm on the $100 bill. I don't even know who's on the $100 bill.
I think to get on bills these days, you need to be a woman or you need to be ethnic in some way, particularly Aboriginal. That'd be the way. So unless I can somehow avoid change my sex and become
we'll say it's iconic people. You've done a lot for the country. Why not start a change movement or a change petition online, or maybe $1 trillion bill?
I don't think I've done that much for the country as yet. Jim
Coyne's got a good sound to it.
Well, I don't know. If they've become a republic, they can make me the president if they like. No,
if they like. I think you'd have no other way.
I don't want to be a president. I'd rather be a king. Chop off his head. We're watching The Crown, this series, which is really good. But it's not much of a job being the queen or the king. I tell you what.
Someone wants to do a Photoshop.
You can't say anything. You can't even express your opinion. You're not supposed to tell the Prime Minister what you think.
Well, someone should do a Photoshop mock. We'll get the boys to do one of Jim on a $100 bill to see how it looks, and we'll pick the best one. Why don't we do a vote? $5.
That's good. Yeah.
Why not?
Don't do that. We'll give them, what can you give them as a prize?
As a prize, if they win it, maybe, I don't know. Actually, I'll get some merch internally. So,
just people. If you don't start spending the money, please. We don't want to. We don't
want to see this. Do not honour this note or something up there. If Jim's head on it, we don't want to do that.
We don't want to be had for counterfeiting.
Maybe $1 trillion bill. You know the Monty Burns did his $1 trillion bill.
$1 trillion. Yeah.
It's $1 trillion
bill. I love that episode.
That's a good one.
Monty Burns, my hero. Excellent.
So we'll go here one. So thanks for that one on Instagram. That's great. So if you are on Instagram, get across to this one. So Aaron Collinson's gone here regarding the cost to benefit ratio. As you mentioned, gyms aren't really in this field, and I assume it's very costly updating and maintaining the app. There are systems that do provide two-way communication, and I'm sure they'll bend to the requirements of a group as large as Jim's group. Is there an avenue worth exploring further given the number of changes in recent years of trying to establish a system that is viable? So Aaron's basically saying there is something that can make FMS talk back the other way. I've always been told no, and that's by the IT really gurus.
Look, we've really given up, Aaron, on using anybody else's stuff. Our experience with Former Highs was not good. The support isn't good. It's too hard to teach, too hard to learn. People who are using it like it once they got the hang of it. But if we can produce the same features in something that's much easier to learn, better supported, more feedback both ways. No third party's going to do that for us. No third party at all.
If you do have these system suggestions though, Aaron, I would say forward it through. Anything can't.
Yeah, anything you want done, just let us know. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be done tomorrow, but it can go in the list of stuff.
But you can forward that through about the two-way communication though, because I'm sure that'll be interesting.
But ease of learning is very, very important. A lot of people have a look at Formatise and say, I don't like it because it's too complicated. It's amazing. We push and push and push to go to these things, and yet more people say, I want Jim's jobs. I love Jim's jobs. It's so easy to use, and that's such an important issue. I don't think people sometimes recognise that ease of use. I'm like that myself. I don't want to sit down and read a 20-page manual to understand something. I want to go into a program and be able to use it straight away.
Yeah, be able to use intuitive, and you know everything is pretty basic.
It's just like anything that's easy to use. It's like these Apple iPod things.
Oh, you love them? I thought you're going to floss yourself. Looks like floss.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like floss.
But they're just great because you put that in your ear like that.
Yeah.
And it
you love them. You always got them in.
It plongs a bit, and it's very good sound. And if somebody rings you, and like in your car, and you're driving along, and somebody rings, I just go tap tap, and I take the call.
Yep.
Which is a lot safer than trying to. Well, I don't like to ignore people, but also it's not safe to do your phone. I listen to these all the time, so I listen to talking books and music and...
Send through that suggestion out of depth. I mean, if you've a couple more questions, Jim's going to rush through them, because I know Jim's got to rush off, but...
I do.
Send that suggestion off the system through to info@gyms.net. Eric Jurgens is gone. I'll leave that one to last. Angela has gone, put Jim on an Australian... Angie in the office has gone, put Jim on an Australian stamp. I think you got a good chance of getting on a stamp. The Jim's logo on a stamp is actually a really good idea. I don't know how they decide. But that'd be awesome. Jim's head on a stamp.
Well, who buys stamps these days anyway? I haven't
collector's item. Collectors will stamp it.
I haven't posted a letter in years with a stamp.
But just people collect them now, so it's more of what they call philatelist. Someone who collects stamps, whatever it's called. But
I've actually got a collection myself. My childhood. I've even known the penny black, one of the first stamps ever made.
It's not worth a bit of money, isn't it?
Probably worth something.
Gee whiz, you still got it?
Yeah.
Penny black.
They're not that uncommon because there were a lot of them. There was the first stamp back about 1850 in England, and I got one of those.
Wow. And I'll get to another one here from Eric. He's gone, how's the gym going, by the way? Being a bit cheeky there, I reckon. Don't start him up here, Eric. You've got him fired up now. He's got to do a talk up. We'll talk to someone after this. You might give him a bit going on the council. No good. No good is the answer.
Well, we're moving ahead. By the time I'm 106, we'll probably have one.
We'll see how we go. All right, so everyone, the books. Books. I wrote down a couple of names. Who do you like for the books? So the hat's going to that young man who is going to message us. We've got 3 books to give away at the start. Which ones do you like for the questions? Good questions tonight.
I like the idea of me being on a $100 bill. I think that shows really good taste.
All right, that's one of the Instagram fellas off the young fella.
I think that's extremely
all right.
Unlikely, but I think it's a great idea.
So one of you, I'll give him one of that. So what about the other 2? Me personally, I like Marco about the meetings question. Marco's watched a few times about what should we do at meetings and stuff. I like that because it's a new question. What else is there?
Oh, no, it's that question about just the different things to be successful in business. That's a good one.
Well, that's young Cameron, right?
It's a classic, but it's certainly worth.
There's a few tonight. I could give them to Aaron and all these. There's everyone.
It's very interesting.
I know they've got
very interesting question. A lot of questions we've never been asked before.
Yeah,
mostly business related.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody I'd like to give my history book to, but if anybody would like that, they can have it. But
well, I've got people written down, so I'm going to sort that out. I'm glad you picked the $100 bill, and that's from a young guy on Instagram. So I'm glad we got something out of that. It's 8:01 now, Jim. You got to get going. You've got to talk to Israel.
I've got to talk in Israel. Never talk to Israel.
Oh no, we say talk to Israel.
It's great.
Thanks for watching, everyone. We do podcasts as well. Make sure you subscribe to everything, social media. Leave us questions. Next week's with a guest. So I don't know who the guest is yet. I've actually asked a couple of people. I'm looking forward to it. And make sure you subscribe and ask him a question. Thanks for watching. If we didn't get to it, we'll do it next week. I promise you. All right. Thanks again, guys. Have a good night.
All right. See you next week.